literally in a cult. Like
Yeah.
band directing
Yeah,
is
sure.
a cult, and you only know if you're in it. And we were all indoctrinated, and then now we become mini cult leaders, and we have like our own little cult.
This is what we need to do with the podcast on LimeWire.
Yes.
Welcome to Band Yap. I'm Alexa Sanchez.
And I'm Jose Sanchez.
We have a very special guest here today, and it is John Schriver.
Is that the correct pronunciation? Schriver?
That is.
Schriver.
There's multiple,
I
like,
mean, it could be Schriver.
pronunciations of Schriver.
Schriver.
Oh, you'd be surprised the number of times schriver went.
Schriver. I mean,
One of everything.
we've been to Starbucks and they've spelt my name Hosay.
No,
How
the
often
best
do you
one.
get Jesus?
All the time.
One time we went and like got food, and they put Buzay, and I was like, "We have an order for Jose," and they couldn't find it because they were looking for like a J. And then I told them what was in it, and they eventually found it, and it said Buzay.
Booze. Yeah.
Booze. Wow.
Yeah.
That's affluency at a level.
Yeah, it was not a great time for me.
Watch you guys practice this introduction because you can't look at each other. For those of you at home, we're like at a table right now, and they can't look at each other because they'll bust out laughing. And it's
Yeah, that's
amazing.
true. Well, John, tell the people who you are.
I am me. I am him. No, I am the director of bands in Cameron ISD. But in Cameron, we refer to ourselves as yeomen. So it's CHO High School.
What is a yeoman?
A yeoman is, yes, that's the best way I can think of to put it. No, so our official mascot is an archer, but a yeoman is not distinguishable by any means. Like every person in Cameron is a yeoman. So if you ask somebody, are you from Cameron? They're going to say, yes, but I am a yeoman. So it's based on the high school. CHO was he was from Austria, I believe. I should know this. I've been there 5 years, and we have a special day called Yo Day. Second Thursday of every May, we get the day off of school.
Oh.
And we have a big celebration that lasts 20 minutes. And we, honor them because they left an endowment for the original high school, which is actually really, really cool. And so it's named after the husband, CHO. And so basically it's just like a way of life, but it's just kind of a characterization of like being a yeoman, and it's just like being true to the community and stuff like that. But we kind of like our junior high is Cameron Junior High, but what are they? They are the yeomen or Lady Yo. So it's a fun place to be. It's interesting. It's unique.
It's like Spartacus.
It's
We're
Spartacus.
all Spartacus.
Honestly, that's probably a great way to put that. It is Friday Night Lights meets Spartacus.
Okay.
That is Yo.
Yeah, my
It's Cameron.
hometown, like our junior high program was the Marauders.
Okay.
And then our high school was
Pirates,
the
yeah.
Pirates.
Okay.
And our junior high had a separate school song to our high school.
See where I'm from Mesquite, for junior high school and stuff like that. And that was the same way. We were the Kimbrough Cougars and the Potee Pirates. We went for alliteration there, and two completely different school songs and all of that or whatever. But no, here, our junior high kids have to play our high school school song, which is in 6/8.
That's
And
what ours.
not fun to teach, but we make the do. It's fine.
6/8 in junior high.
I used to have to do that.
You know, my favorite piece of me, the way I learned 6/8 was playing the Superman theme. We did that for a concert,
Oh,
and I
really?
thought it was the best thing ever.
Yeah, I have nothing on that. I just tell them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or you just yell at them until they do it right. It's fine.
Wow.
Teaching in a nutshell, right? The heavy sigh.
I didn't know any of that. I mean, I knew yeoman, and I've heard that, but I didn't know the lore.
Yeah, like I tell everybody, if you've seen the movie Friday Night Lights, it's very similar to that. Like just football is ingrained in that culture and things like that. But yeah, it's just literally it is. It's really neat. Like name another yeoman. You can't.
You can't. Yeah.
I couldn't
Like
tell you.
nowhere else in the country. You go to Max Preps and you type in yo, we're the only people that show up.
That makes
So
sense.
it's really cool.
You can find 1,000 Hornets
Yeah. Oh yeah.
or Pirates. Pirates are aplenty.
We were the Longhorns, and our
So
fight
original.
song was Texas Fight.
No way.
So, yeah.
So John, can you tell us a little bit more about you since we talked about Schriver?
Oh man, it all started in the beginning when I was born. So no,
very frequently where it starts.
yeah, for most people, I have been told that. No, so I'm a native of DFW. I grew up on I say south side of Fort Worth, but it's Everman, so between like for us coming up from Waco. The way you know you're in Everman is if you see Mrs. Barrett's and then you see the Miller Brewery. The town that exists behind that,
okay.
yeah, is Everman. So when I grew up as a kid, I would smell beer and bread. That was my
You
growing
need
up.
to get back in contact with Jesus because he just talked about Mrs. Barrett's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like there was like we took field trips there and like it was amazing. We like
Wow.
like I don't care to learn about this, but the bread that we get at the end of the field trip is
I wanna
like
go.
top tier. It was
We
great.
should
Fresh.
take a
I
field
mean,
trip.
yeah. I remember taking a trip like that when I was in like elementary school.
Yeah,
Band yap at
There you
Mrs.
go.
Barrett's.
Yeah, and you're like, give me that bread. I mean, they
Sponsor
butter
us.
it. Yes, there you go. So if you're listening, so anyway, that's where I grew up, and then I moved to Mesquite. So I mentioned that a little bit ago, and that's where I graduated from high school. So I went to Poteet High School there. Went to what was used to be Texas A&M University Commerce, which is now East Texas A&M.
Another name
Yeah,
change.
I just-
university.
Yeah, you guys
Okay.
kind of got a theme going.
I
Yeah, I
guess.
guess.
Is that
Like-
how you get on the list to be?
Let's
What-
contact us.
Okay, so what are your feelings about that? Because I know there was like a huge uproar.
I
So-
don't really understand it.
Okay, so here's the thing. Before this name change, there were 9 other name changes in
Whoa.
the history of the university. We're
Wow,
actually one of the
okay.
oldest universities in the state, but it used to be East Texas State University, and it was that way for a long time. Matter of fact, our pregame in college is we would spell ET, and the ET would phone home into a C for commerce.
Oh.
That was a really bad joke. Thank you for both pretending to laugh.
I
So
thought it
anyway,
was
we would,
funny.
yeah,
That's good.
we would do
That's good.
that. And so it's been 1,000 different things. And I think before they became East Texas A&M just now, it was going to be the Texas A&M University Dallas at Commerce. And like it was already a mouthful, but now what it comes back to is like that SEO, search engine optimization,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
how many clicks can we get to, which totally makes sense. And you want people to find your university, but when you type in East Texas and now you have the market on the entirety of a region, it just makes more sense. But that ties it back into its roots of being East Texas, East Texas State and stuff like that. So like me personally, I'm like, okay, the piece of paper I have on my wall from that amount of hours I cried
Mhm.
trying to get this degree and stuff, it now just has a different name. And then I don't really care because it doesn't really change anything. So I don't know if do it like, ooh, do I get like a free new diploma?
You should send an
You should
email.
write them.
Yeah, I'll be like East Texas, best Texas. Am I right? So all our West Texas friends are about to be just
Click
done.
off.
Yeah,
click,
they're done.
click,
They're
click.
not listening after this. But anyway, it doesn't really bother me, but the name changed, but it's been fine. And so, but anyway, yeah. After that, I graduated, and as most people sometimes do, and then found myself in good old Valley Mills, Texas. That's where I got my first teaching gig and taught there for 8 years, and I've been in Cameron for the last 5.
So how did you end up in Valley Mills other than interviewing and going there?
So this is a fun story. I got hired. I was one of those people, you hear about this sometimes. I got hired like 2 weeks before summer band was supposed to start.
I get that.
So this is what had happened. I'm getting desperate, and I'm like, I need a job. And so I kind of started applying. I was like, look, it's close to Waco. Waco is a city. I can figure that out. It's like, it's not that bad, right? Being a city slicker from Dallas, like Waco's is populous.
Okay, Dallas proper though.
He just said he's from Mesquite.
Yeah,
Mesquite.
Mesquite.
Yeah,
like,
so,
okay, there's
yeah,
like
Dallas,
five high
yeah.
schools there, so it's fine. Whatever. Anyway, there's people there. And so anyway, I was like, okay, I can, kind of figure that out and everything. So I applied, and then I had my first interview, and then it felt like it went really well. And then they called me and they were like, we want to have you back for a second interview. And I was like, dope. Well, the night before, this is like how college kiddie I like was in the moment. I had bought tickets for the midnight premiere of The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh,
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
stellar film.
Yeah.
Stellar film.
Yeah. So, for any young people that listen, that was the previous Batman trilogy. But anyway, so I went and saw that, and then got a couple hours sleep or whatever, and then drove down to Valley Mills, had a second interview, and it was with the assistant superintendent, the principals at both campus, and then the superintendent again. And my favorite part of this is I meet the principal, and he goes, well, I got to go pick up pizza for the dance team. Do you mind coming with me? And I was like, sure.
Was it at 120 pizzas?
No.
Oh.
No, throwback again. I think it was 6. maybe, I don't know. So we go to the grocery store, which was also wild to me because there's not like a pizza place. The grocery store made the pizzas. So we go there, or actually before that, we go to the cheer sponsor's house. So again, total small school stuff
Just
right
like
off the bat.
touring.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, this is
All 4 houses.
He's taking
yeah.
you on a tour.
Yeah, and so we go to the cheer sponsor's house, pick up the school like debit card from her, grab that real quick, go pay for the pizzas. He has me carry them in to the gym where the dance team is practicing. They're doing like some summer thing or whatever. And he goes, "Oh yeah, hey, by the way, this is Mr. Schriver. He's interviewing for the band job." And I'm like, "Hi."
I'm just here with
I
pizza.
carry the watermelon.
Yeah, and then so we're just like, he had coached in Lancaster, so he knew like of the high school that I'd gone to because they used to be really good at baseball and stuff like that. So we're just making small talk. So we finally, that takes like an hour or whatever. We end up back in his office. He goes, "Well, I guess I ought to ask you a couple questions," and I was like, "All right, I'm prepared for this part." So anyway, he asked me a couple questions and it ended up being fine or whatever. But I just remember sitting like, "Is this real life? Like, what is happening now?" And then, anyway, I guess I did well enough that they took a chance on me, and so I took the job there, and it was a really wonderful experience. This is kind of a fun fact. Halfway through my second year teaching there, they told me that if I didn't work out, they were going to non-renew me and they were just going to cut the band program.
Really?
Yeah, like they were just going to let it phase out because they were going to get grandfathered in, but they weren't going to start any new band classes.
Wow.
Yeah, the assistant she was big band mom. Her kids had gone in the Stephenville band, been drum major, and like were super sick. So she was like, everybody on the interview panel was like, she's the only one that knows anything about band. So she grilled me for like an hour. And so that was like really fun. Just because I could like sense her enthusiasm, and so yeah, like halfway through year 2, she was like, "Yeah, we were this close," and I was like, "Oh, cool. Well, yay."
Well, before you got to Valley Mills, what was kind of the history before that?
It had been up and down. It kind of had been one of those revolving door programs. Just unfortunately, I think you see that a lot in small school, where sometimes it's really hard to get people to say. Whether it's a big school person comes in and they don't know how to equip and handle, going from having, maybe 3 ensembles of like 50 to 60 kids to literally you have 20 kids. My first year there was 24 kids. And so they don't know how to handle that. Or, it can just be a multitude of things or whatever. But so it was not in the best of places, but it was not probably as bad as it could have been. And so really, to me, it was a program that was eager to have success. And so, it was kind of like a laboratory. I'm a first year teacher. I have like no experience. I'm like, let's just try it and see what happens. And so my kind of goal there early on was like, let's just make band fun, because it was not fun before I got there.
You were a first year teacher. Did you have anyone else with you?
So no, I was by myself. I did my first 2 years there actually as the solo director. So 6th through 12th grade, if I didn't like the way something went, I'd go sit in the office and I would just look at in the mirror and be like, well, what are we going to do about this? But I was very fortunate. I had, yes, basically Spider-Man meme, but it's yourself in the mirror, And so, most of the time it was me, but I was fortunate. Don Theoty, who has like been my greatest mentor, was right up the road in Clifton, and he would come down and do his typical Don Theoty thing where he just looks at you and he kind of squints and you can see those gears are turning, and he looks at you and he looks at the kids and he looks at you and he looks at you and he goes, "What are you doing?" And then
this is your fault.
Yeah, as most of you know, you go, I don't know. I'm just, and so he was, pun intended, very instrumental in helping me kind of figure out what I was doing. But yeah, for 2 years there, it's just me.
Yeah,
that is crazy. Pretty iconic.
Yeah, and like for those who don't know who Don Theoty is, Don Theoty kind of put Clifton on the map. Yeah. I mean, he's the one who established Clifton. Yeah. And then the people who took over at Clifton were his students.
Yeah. So legacy.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it's a fantastic program. There's also the Outstanding Performance Series, which he started. Yes,
he did. Yeah. The founding members of ATSSB kind of like basically called him up. This is his version of the story, and I'll give you the TLDR. But they were just basically like, hey, we like the honor band thing, but we want to do something every year, and we want to recognize what everybody in our organization is doing. Can you put something together? And he was like, sure, and he kind of sketched some things out, and they kind of tabled or roundhouse tabled it or whatever and figured it out. But yeah, he was the chairman of OPS since its inception until I don't know how long Colin's been running it now, but last 5, 6, 7
Colin
years.
Anderson over at Groesbeck High School.
Yeah. But another funny connection with Don is he was at Rockdale, who is Cameron's like big rival, like crosstown rival. So he was there from like the late 60s and through most of the 70s and stuff. And so it's pretty funny, he comes out and some of the kids, their parents, if they're a little older, and definitely their grandparents, like know of him and like that lineage and stuff, which is really
He
cool.
was my region clinician in high school.
I believe it.
Yeah, he was my region clinician in high school.
He's done one of everything. Yeah, I don't think you're a band director in Texas, really. That top before, I don't know, 2000, and you don't know who he is because he's been retired now for a good while. But it's the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah. Would you say that a lot of your success you wouldn't have had some of the success that you had if it wasn't having a mentor or somebody else like that?
It's definitely the mentorship for sure. And early on, it's funny. Valley Mills was like, "Is he trying to come do your job?" Because he was like retired and stuff. And I was like, "No." He like literally would just sit in rehearsal. And it would be kind of twofold. Sometimes he would make comments to the ensemble, but a lot of times he'd just sit there and make notes to me. And we'd go sit in the office and he goes, "Okay, you're trying to do this. Say it like this, though. Or you're spending too much time talking about this. That's a small potatoes thing. And like, make sure you know what you want them to do and stuff." But yeah, just it's important for all of us having that mentor or somebody you can go, "I'm trying to do this and it's just not working. What's going on here?" Bouncing those ideas off, especially those first 2 years where you're by yourself and you're just like, "Man, I don't feel like anything's sticking." And then to have somebody come in and go, "It's teaching."
Yeah, especially with somebody who he was done with his teaching career and now he's coming in doing that. So the wealth of knowledge he just kind of provided was huge.
Yeah. And to have that 20 minutes away was super awesome. So that was definitely a really cool and unique thing to be able to have that to help me kind of launch everything for sure.
Well, we added a fourth guest.
We had a baby crying.
Well, the baby is now part of the podcast. So
band directors and babies.
If you're a baby eating a bottle, just disregard.
Really, the crying was me, but I appreciate you guys being covering that up.
So can you take us a little bit through like your journey at Valley Mills?
Sure, man. So this is kind of a funny story. So my first year in Valley Mills, you were at Wortham. And I don't know if I've ever told you this. I remember sitting at region marching contest that year, and I'm still new to the whole small school thing or whatever. And I had 24-ish kids at that time. Do you know how many you had at Wortham that year?
Like 18.
Yeah, 18 exactly. I counted. And I remember getting our results, and we got a 1-2-2, which we absolutely deserved. But I remember in that moment, there was like that like ping of jealousy or whatever. I was like, well, he's got 18, and how did they figure that out? And I didn't understand how it worked there or whatever, because I was like, wow, because you guys were really good. Like what you were able to do with 18 kids was like awesome. So I was like, okay, it can be done. So that spring we went on, and which is so funny to me because Cameron hosts concert and sight reading, and so we went there. We got straight ones, which was super exciting. And then the next year, 2013, so fall of 2012 was my first year. So fall of 2013 was the first time Valley Mills ever got a 1 in marching competition.
Wow!
Like the entire history of that band program from like 90s, 80s, 70s, as far back as I could find. I couldn't find anything from like the 50s or 60s or whatever. So to my knowledge, that was the first time they ever got a 1, and that was like mind blowing. So we made it to area, and after our prelims round in area that year, we were 5th place. We were like the band sitting on that alternate spot to like qualify, and like this will live in like infamy in my brain probably forever. We performed first in finals, and I was like, oh, of course. But anyway, that year, storms were rolling in, and like I remember DFW contest had already called their area contest or delayed them or something, and so we could see it coming in, and so I don't know, we name drop, right? So yeah, it's fine. So Tony is like I I don't know. I don't know the rules. But anyway, Tony was like, okay, we're going to try and then see what we can do. So we go, we perform. We were the only band to not get rained on in finals. And so, eager me, and I'm like, let's go, let's go. Because my high school had been super successful. We'd gone to state and like one state and stuff like that. So like, I knew what that energy felt like. And so I'm like, let's go, let's go. Well, halfway through, we had to call the contest. It was the right call. I stick by it because it was just becoming unsafe for kids and equipment. There was lightning and all this stuff. So prelims results stood as finals. So we stayed fifth place, which is fine. But to the year before make it 2, and then now you're knocking on the door to state, it was like so crazy. So anyway, we rack up a couple more sweepstakes and stuff like that. And it wasn't until 2017 that we finally made the jump and made it to state and everything, which was just like so crazy. So to think that was year 6 there. So, in 6 years of just like hard work and just like busting tail and like, we mentioned Don, he helped a whole lot, but after my first 2 years, Allison, who's now Hamilton, came on as my assistant, and that helped a whole lot. And then Stormy came in afterwards to help out as my assistant after that, after Allison left to go to Hamilton.
So you went from just a single man show.
Yeah.
So what was the catalyst for them bringing on an assistant for you?
So by that time, so after my second year, we had, there was like substantial growth. So we were at the point where, obviously high school band takes the longest to grow because you got to grow into it. But like I was averaging at that time 45 to 50 kids in 6th grade. And then, keeping about 30 of those into junior high. So the junior high band was about 60 kids. And so, I just broke it down for my administration. I remember going to a board meeting and I was like, this is me. And if you divide every kid in there, so let's say 60 kids, they're getting 1 minute of instruction from me per class period, but it's a 45-minute class period. So I'm not good at math. I can count to 4, but you can see that. And so like we are, the program is really coming to its own and stuff. And so they were like, okay, yeah. So they understood that we needed to do something to help that. And so, the assistant position was created, and they would do a little bit of elementary music. So Allison and Stormy both had to do that. And, for a lot of us, I think most of us go to college for a band. Not a lot of us do the elementary music thing. And I had done a background of that because in commerce, it was important that we did elementary music, which I'm very thankful for because a lot of like teaching strategies I use came out of that, which is really cool. So, there was some team teaching there to kind of get that thing off the ground, which is really cool. But so went from a 1-man show to a 2-person show. And then, like I said, in 17, we made the jump in one area. And that was so crazy because I remember being in the press box and I could see the kids. We were at Robinson and I could see them. I didn't get a chance to make it over to them when it was announced, so I could watch their reaction. It's just like we'd won the Super Bowl. It was like so crazy. So, in that quick turnaround to go from, you never made a 1 to just a couple of short years later, now you're at the state marching contest. Words are hard. Is just like, it's still so surreal and everything. So, so we went in 17 and 18, and then, it was a great time. So.
Okay, so what place did you get in 17?
So 17, we got 2nd place, and that like blew my mind because, I'm just so happy to be there. Like, oh my God, we made the pageant. I just want to be pretty. Yay. And so
I do flowers and bows.
Yeah, exactly. And I do what every single band director does. I start with last place and I go to the top to see where we are. And I remember we were first in prelims, and I like look up and I'm like looking around like, yo, is this like literally real life right now? Like,
did they mess up the recap?
Yeah, like, do you know who we are? We just got here. Like, there's no way, and everything. And, just very fortunate that everything clicked. And then in that year, that was the last year that UIL crammed 4 classifications into one cycle. So it was 1A, 2A, 3A, 5A. And so that year, I don't remember. I think, it was 1A prelims, I think 2A prelims, 1A finals, I think was after. I just remember we were the next morning for that finals, and that was so crazy. And then we got second place. Clarksville won, and I mean that's just a phenomenal program. So it's like but at that point it was just like everything was like extra,
Yeah, icing on the cake.
Yeah, icing, sprinkles, a whole nother cake. It was so crazy. And so I remember after that walking out of the tunnel, and UIL had decided that they were going to move 2As to even numbers, so because it just made sense 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6. And walking out with like my drum majors, and they were juniors at the time, and I was like, "Did y'all have fun?" They were like, "This is so great," and I was like, "We're gonna come back next year." And they were like, "What?" And then in 18, we just doubled down, and we actually won it in 18, which is, that was many moons ago. That was like 7 years ago now, 8 years ago or whatever. And it's like still doesn't seem real. Like sometimes I still wait for the phone call. You actually forgot about this kid, and they were not eligible, and then we got to take it back. And I'm like, no take back season.
I mean, were there any moments in those seasons that you're like, oh my God, we've bit off too much for what we can handle?
So here's the thing. We passed a bond at the end, the spring of 18, for like new facilities, one of them being a band hall. And in Valley Mills, the band hall at the old time was like right next to a field. Well, that field was where they were going to put the new band hall. And right across from that field was our parking lot / practice facility. So in 18, we did not have a practice facility at all.
Oh,
at all. From summer band through state marching contest, we didn't have like a parking lot that most people practice on. And so we started off on the practice football field, but we got kicked off of that pretty quickly. And so I was like, well, what are we going to do? And so we would bounce back and forth between the elementary school had a parking lot that was just barely big enough. Like I could get from the front sideline to like almost the hash, which, you're marching 40 kids at that point, like it fits or whatever, but it was very, very tight. And then we would use the baseball field, but, as most people may remember, 2018 was like insanely rainy, like uncharacteristically.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. And so anytime it rained, it turned the baseball field into a swamp. So much of the kids are like, are we practicing? I'm like, yeah. And they were like, we're going to get trench foot. I'm like, no. Also, like, how do you know what that is? Like one history lesson, and you're thinking you're going to do that. And so, mind you, the baseball field is on a hill behind the campus. So literally we were doing like the uphill both ways, because we would have to roll everything out in the morning and then roll it all the way like downhill across through the school. We would track mud every single day to do that. And so I remember joking with those kids, like, look, kids, if we win this thing, they're going to have to make a movie about us because of that. And then the band hall, our uniform closet, flooded 3 times.
Oh.
Yeah, because once was because of rain, and because of all the construction they were doing, it just plowed through the ceiling. The other 2 times is they were doing a backwash test on the new sewage lines and flow and stuff like that. One of those times being the week like between area and state, and we had to get the uniforms like emergency dry cleaned and stuff. Whoa. I had great administration there. Like the principal there, his daughter was like one of my drum majors, and so he was like, and he was drum major in high school, so he's like super pro band and stuff. And I just remember him getting on the phone with like the construction. He was like, this isn't blah 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 blah. And so I don't remember if the school paid for it, the construction people paid for it or whatever, but those uniforms got dry cleaned very fast. Is all I know. and everything, and it was great. But that was just so crazy. And like I think about that now, and like older me, I'm like, I don't know if I would be able to handle that now. Like I think I would probably have a heart attack.
Yeah.
I would explode.
So immediately a blood clot.
Yeah.
Have an ulcer.
Yes. Yes.
So what would you say was like more like a bigger impact on you as an educator, that first one and making it that far, or your gold medal? What's made a bigger impression on you?
Absolutely making the first one, because a lot of those kids didn't know what that felt like. They didn't know what a first division meant, or like really meant, and they didn't know like what you have to do to kind of achieve that level of success. And they were close enough to when like because in concert season the band had made like some ones, and so it's not like it was completely impossible, but to like make all ones and to like truly become like a true sweepstakes, those like first 2-3 classes of kids that I taught, and getting them to kind of grow in that development and to like really see that success. Winning state is like so really, really cool. It really is. But like those are the moments, like I still picture the group hug that I got after we were at the Gatesville marching competition and we got our first one there. And like I thought I was gonna like break my leg because those kids just like dogpiled me basically. And like that, and I can see those kids' faces. I remember all of their names and stuff. And it's like that to me is like just so tender and just so pure and something that I attached to. Because the kids that eventually went on to win state, they were sixth graders at the time, and so they kind of got to see the process build around them. And so that sixth grade class my first year were seniors when we won, and so it was like special in that regard because you get to grow those kids into that like ultimate final product. But I don't know, there's just something about having those kids not really know longevity of success, and then to just know like, hey, we've arrived. It's I don't know. It just
no, that's really.
it hits different.
Because
like, you've seen that.
Yeah. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to see some of that, but like seeing what Valley Mills is now. Sure. I mean, that was built on your back.
Yeah. Well, I not to
pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a lot of hard work. I sacrificed a lot in order to make that happen, and I'm very proud of it. And Stormy did a good job in her tenure there when she took over when I left, and James and Dwayne are there now, and that to me is also another special thing that program has stayed relevant through 2 director changes after me, and I think that really means a lot that, it's something that is lasting is still there.
Yeah. I mean, because when I think if my memory serves me correct, there's not a sixth grade class that's in that program right now that doesn't know anything other than their high school going to state marching contests.
Basically, yeah. I mean, now when you're in the Valley Mills band, you're in a very successful organization. You're in something that has that state level attachment to it. You're going to go to probably going to go to state. And they pretty much always have now since 17, 18, and you're going to be state honor band. You have a great chance at making the Syntax honor band and stuff. So those kids know excellence, and they have older siblings, like a couple of them, like my last couple of groups of beginners are like upperclassmen now, but those kids had siblings that I taught, and they know, and that level of expectation kind of carries, and which is really cool. It's like really truly a legacy now.
How many stoplights are in Valley Mills?
There's just one
stoplight. Now the real question: is there a Dairy Queen?
I knew you were going to ask me this. There is not. We have something better.
Oh,
or I say we, like I'm still there. We have burger-n-wok.
Burger-n-wok. Okay.
Yes.
In or yes, I know.
Burger in the letter in.
Okay.
Wok.
Apostrophe.
No, it's I think it's hyphen.
Ooh.
Yeah, and fun fact for you Fixer Upper fans, that's where Chip and Joanna had one of their very first dates.
Oh,
it's a hot spot.
Oh,
yeah, but
is there a photo of them there?
I don't remember. I only actually ate there very sparingly because when I first moved in there, I was like, I can't eat at a place that serves burgers and wok. It doesn't work that way. My like big city brain was like, it doesn't work. And then I finally ate there and I was like, this is actually really good. Austin, my assistant I work with, he loves places like that. Like that looks like a random gas station. I bet there's something cool in there. And like if real life was like Dungeons and Dragons or like a video game or whatever, he would be the person that goes off and it like explores the random adventure and finds like these unseen treasures and stuff or whatever. But yeah, we have Burger-n-Wok, and it's literally exactly what it is. Half of the menu is burger, half the menu is wok, and I do think it was an old Dairy Queen.
I'm shocked that there's not a Dairy Queen.
So, and there was talk for the longest time. I was there 8 years, and I think for like 8 years before that Sonic was going to come out.
That's right. Gatesville's about to get a Starbucks.
Yes,
I feel like we've arrived.
International.
Yeah,
Gatesville.
So what's your Dairy Queen order?
I would do the Butterfinger Blizzard.
Yes,
Butterfinger Blizzard.
Okay.
Is like top notch.
So there is a Dairy Queen in Cameron, right?
It is. It's a Mayfield Dairy Queen, and it's the hot spot. It's the hot spot.
I bet that is.
So talk to us about how you ended up in Cameron,
Man, I spun the dial during COVID, and that's where I landed. Basically, no. So that position opened up, and at the time I was kind of at that natural crossroads where I was happy with how things were in Valley Mills, but I was ready to take that next step. And I didn't really want to leave the region. I really like living in Waco. I like Region 8. Have a lot of friends here and stuff like that. And um, just, at the time I didn't want to make a big move. And so that opened up and I was like, oh, let me go take a look at that, storied program that had been relevant and state level and stuff like that. So it seemed like a natural progression. So I put my name in the hat and, um, after like an interview later and a couple more phone calls or whatever, because COVID, they offered me the job and I was like, all right, well, let's do this. So, it was a tough decision. You build a program up and it becomes hyper successful, and to walk away from it was really hard. And to walk away from it in the middle of COVID, like to have to tell those kids in a Zoom meeting that you're not coming back, it like that hurt my soul, but I had to rip the Band-Aid off somehow. And so anyway, made that transition to Cameron. And first year was really hard because, as we all know, that 2020, 2021 year and really 21, 22, just those 2 years of COVID was just so difficult for everybody, and like for numerous reasons or whatever. But we made it work, and it's been really good.
And you walked into like Cameron being his like kind of an established program,
very much.
And like Stephen Moss was there,
and he is still a very regarded name in Cameron. But yeah, he was the one that really planted the flag for the Yeoman, if you will, for the band world. There, they got a bronze and a silver medal, and then after him came Craig George, who is Stephen's assistant. And so he was there for a little while, and then Craig went over to Lake Belton to become the percussion and assistant band director over there, and that allowed me to take that responsibility, or the head responsibility. And so yeah, you're walking in and, hey, we've made state finals like 5 times in a row, so no pressure or anything. And you're like, cool, I've done it twice, so I hope that works. So anyway, that 21 season, which was my first time to take them to the state marching contests, a lot of pins and needles that year, but we went. And so we, since I've been there, we made state finals 3 times now, which is really great. And so not a whole lot of programs can say they've been to the state marching contest 8 times and made finals all 8 times.
Yeah, that's and we can't.
Yeah, and we try to remind those kids of that. Like, it's really cool because they have older, same thing, brothers, sisters, cousins, and stuff like that have come through that. And so they either had Steven or they had Craig, and now the younger ones have me and stuff. So that legacy is really strong.
Yeah. And like I've been out to one of your rehearsals, and it's like absolutely crazy to me because like you rehearse at like what, 1 o'clock in the afternoon?
So we were doing that. Yeah, it was 1 o'clock. And so you imagine your marching season, my first 2 years, it was 1 o'clock. And then finally I was like, hey, if you think about it, we have a 45-minute class period, but it's really like 30 minutes because setup time, give them time to like decompress and cool off, so they
hopefully
don't smell like
antiperspirant.
Yes, yeah, get the deodorant out and stuff like that and stuff. I'm like, we got to do something. So the school is able to move us to the second period, which has been pretty nice. So now we practice at 9 o'clock, which is like much nicer. And so it's actually kind of funny because like when we get those cold snaps in random, well, not October anymore, but like November or something like that, by the time we go out, it's already warmed up a little bit. So
well, and then like you also don't have a tower.
Correct. I stand on a drum major podium about 6 feet off the ground. And so, I mean, you've seen it. It's a parking lot, and about 4 feet from the edge of the practice field is the pack. So we have our performing arts center. So I'm standing basically in the bushes on a drum major podium, 6 feet from the nearest, or so the sideline, and about 6 feet off the ground or whatever. So I don't ever really get to see what it looks like from above, because even in our football stadium, probably where if I'm at the top of the press box, because I don't get to go on top, I can only get at the top of the bleachers, I'm still 100 yards away from the kids, like horizontally. Why I'm making a hand gesture, so people can see this, but like I'm still at an angle, so I never see what it looks like. So this, like last year, this was crazy. The last set of our marching show, because it was about flowers, was a flower. And I just looked at the kids and I'm like, we're never going to know unless we make state and they show it on the Tron if you're making a flower. Like, I just can't clean it. And sure enough, in prelims, I go, hot dang, they made a flower. And then in finals, one of the petals came off, and I was like, well, fall's coming. You know what I mean? So, it's the end of the season, I guess. Yeah, exactly. So, it's fine.
Have you ever been tempted to get up on top of the school?
I was about to say.
So Stephen, if you're listening, call in and let us know if I'm wrong. But that was the lore behind Stephen, is he would sit on top of the pack and look down. And I went up there to try and do it, and you've got to lean a good 4 feet over the side of the building. And I'm like, I just no. I've tried. We got a scissor lift, but I didn't trust going up high enough on it. And I'm like, that's the last thing I need is what is Mr. Shriver's legacy? Oh, he went down on the wind blade just right. And then bang, yeah. My first year I did fall off a drum major podium. We were doing the national anthem, and I was coming down off the side of it. My foot slid, and I fell on the railing of it.
Speaking of the national anthem, didn't you play at a Rangers game?
Yeah. So shout out Juan, if you're listening. He's our band booster president.
He's my brother from another.
I was about to say, I think
he's my man.
Yeah,
we have a bromance.
If you're in Central Texas and you've been within, I don't know, 100 miles of Cameron, you probably know Juan, because he's great. But anyway, he has a connection with the Rangers. He's everybody in the movies they go, I know a guy. Well, I know a guy. His name's Juan, and Juan knows a guy that's the right guy to know for that. So yeah, he just offhanded it. He goes, hey, we played for the Rangers, the national anthem, before a game a couple of years ago. Do you want me to see if I can get us in? I was like, sure. Not thinking it would happen because they just won the World Series. There's no way. I don't got to worry about this. I don't need this stress. It's fine. It's not going to happen. Random Thursday afternoon. Hey, next month they said they can get us in to go play the national anthem. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And he goes, yeah, okay. So, a couple phone calls and emails exchanged. The next thing I know, I'm sitting there in the middle of center field and looking up at the Jumbotron. I'm like, that's me. That's my bald spot up there. I can see right now. And, hearing Chuck Morgan say your name, I'm sorry, I'm done. I don't need to win state. I don't need to win honor band. Band is over. Chuck Morgan said my name, and there you go. But yeah, we got to play the
everybody needs a Juan. I love Juan. He's a good guy.
Yeah, well, you got to have a strong parent organization, and I think a lot of time because we get so caught up in the job that we forget the parents sometimes know the right people, and all you got to do is just put the right idea out there, and they can do the work for you and make dreams that you didn't know you had come true. So. I tell you what, though, I'm always nervous to play the national anthem because I tell the kids that's the most important thing we play.
Oh, yeah.
Number one, everybody knows it. Mm-hmm. Number two, we've all seen those viral videos of it not going well. And just number three, the respect that we have to have for that piece, the armed forces and just the men and women that it represents and just the whole country. It is just probably the most important thing a band can play. So do it right. Yeah. And
we call it the big three.
Yeah.
And I tell the kids, in a lot of ways that a lot of people could not care about the halftime show.
Sure.
Which, we all have our feelings as
sure.
band directors, but specifically in small communities, because you will go to church with these people. Yeah. You will go to burger-n-wok with these people.
There you go. The Mayfield DQ. Yeah.
Exactly. You have to know the alma mater.
Yep.
And you have to play that correctly.
Yep.
And you can't change anything about it because I've heard things there used to be a drum part to the alma mater. I'm like, not that I know of.
Right. Yeah.
So that's what I inherited.
10 years.
Yeah.
So the alma mater, the fight song, and the national anthem.
Yep. And I agree 100%. And that's exactly what we tell the kids. So in Cameron, so talking about not changing things like a drum part, I added a roll off to the fight song because the football team runs out of the tunnel and they would wait on us to play, but I can't ever see what's going on down there. And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, I can't tell if the coaches give me the high sign or if he's mad or whatever. So finally I was just run out of the tunnel. The kids will play. That's how we know or whatever. And so first football game, we're doing the roll off and everybody's the kids are fine because they get it and stuff. But I get called in the principal's office, the next Monday, and they're like, "Did you change the school song?" And I was like, "No." Oh my gosh, no! that would be like the last thing I would do, because Francis Cox, the OG band director in Cameron, wrote the school song for Cameron. So not only are we the only yeomen in the existence, we're the only people that have On Yo High. And so I'm like, no, I'm not going to change that. But I was like, I added a roll off. And so, we had a conversation and it ended up being fine and stuff like that. But that was kind of one of those things where I was like, oh, I'm like, people pay attention to what we're doing. Okay. Which was like flattering, but also like, oh, like.
Yeah. One of the things, because at sometimes Gatesville plays Cameron Yo for in football.
Yeah.
Y'all's fight song is something our kids love because they sing the SpongeBob fun song.
Oh, okay.
To it. Okay. Consistently.
I could see that.
And so like we'll randomly hear bombs in the middle of y'all's like fight song.
I love it
because they just like they gravitate towards that.
Okay,
because who doesn't love SpongeBob?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go refamiliarize myself with that because like I'm like moderately familiar with that, but not picking up on how that. I just know. That, okay, yeah.
You're talking about the Plankton version.
Yes, the Plankton.
U is for uranium.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, so I mean, it's like literally our boys will shine tonight 7 times in a row. So it's. Not to like dog on it or whatever, but it's like
it's okay. So Rosebud Lot has a fight song.
Yeah.
Okay, but they don't run out of the tunnel to their fight song. They run out of the tunnel to Jesus Christ Superstar.
I still don't really believe Jose.
I mean, okay, but like, would you not want to?
I mean, it's just like when I first encountered that, I was like. Excuse me?
I mean, I don't know. That seems pretty dope. Talking about that, the school song in Valley Mills is "Oh Christmas Tree." Like that's the melody of "Oh Christmas Tree." And I remember like in my head, I teach band for a reason. I can't sing, but I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. I'm like singing in my head. I'm like, there's no way. And we start, and I was like, is this? And the kids go, it's about to be. I'm like, there's no way. And we play it. I'm like, it is. It is. And I used that as an on-field warm-up one year. And some friends were like, did you really just go out and play "Oh Christmas Tree" before you did your marching show? I'm like, yeah, that's my on-field warm-up, because it's kind of chorale-esque or whatever.
Yeah, there's a school we played in high school that used to play "This Land Is My Land."
I love that about like the small school thing because you get a lot of that, or "Ode to Joys" and stuff like that. Like very familiar melodies get applied to that, which is really cool. But yeah, the yeomen, we have On Yo High, which is our school song, which is really cool. And then Our Boys Will Shine Tonight's the fight song. So, but it's just wild. Like, hey, it's just a roll off, guys. Like, it's gonna be
they come after you.
We need those.
So what advice would you give your college self going into your first few years of teaching?
Don't do it. No. You don't know enough. You're never going to know enough. And it's okay. Probably like more stuff is okay than you really think that it is. Back to Don, he looked at me one time and he goes, it's going to take you 5 years to figure this out. And the rest of your career to like really figure out what to do with what you know. And at that time you're like, what are you talking about? Like, what does that mean? And so this is year 13 for me. And every year I'm like, what am I doing? Like I don't.
Oh, so exactly. Yeah. I sit and I go like, is this right? I don't think this is right.
Yeah,
this is right.
Yeah, like I'm a big like process guy, and like we need to have systems, and it needs to go this way and stuff like that. But like literally all 13 years there have been similar things that have happened, but like all 13 years have been different. But if I was going back to that, it's like. You're never going to use music theory like you think you're going to use. And like really pay attention in like, we had to do what was called instrumental org, which is basically the how to be a band director class. And like that class of like, like how to run a band program, how to like do proper lesson planning and stuff like that. Like, a lot of that stuck with me, but like really engage in that. And then I mentioned it earlier, like elementary music. Darla Meek, who teaches the elementary music department in Commerce, like, I don't know, when just being in her class, because she talked about scaffolding, and it's like, okay, you're going to take this concept, but then in the next lesson, it's going to be a reflection of what you just did, but now it's going to be the new concept. And it's like bridging that. And it's like, at the time, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, this lady taught us how to do it. and we're in there thinking we're just like singing about coffee, and if you know the coffee song, you know the coffee song, but we're singing about that, and we're having games, and it's like so much fun, and we're all like, man, I would love to do elementary music if like whatever, like me, I would do it if I could sing and play piano, because that would like make sense, but then also like I don't know that I really have it in me to 30 screaming kindergartners all the time. Bless you. Shout out to everybody that does that, but not me.
I don't understand their immune systems. We have 3 children. I'm kind of like, oh my God. Once one person in this house gets sick.
Oh yeah, you're all down.
Yeah, we're all down. We're all sick. So circling back, because you fangirled there for a second on your Texas Rangers.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm an Astros fan.
Oh, well, okay, I'm going to see
It's
myself.
classic.
I'm not a diehard, but
baseball,
it's because I'd rather go to a baseball game.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the same thing when I talk to people. There's one sport I will like die on a hill about, and that is in the NBA basketball. The Spurs.
Basketball.
The Spurs basketball team is.
My eyes glaze over.
Yeah, well,
he's from DFW.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
And it's
The Mavs were good
fight.
one time. Sure. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So tell us about your love for hockey.
Okay. Here's the thing. It is 5 of just these muscled out guys that are just on weapons, carrying weapons, slapping a piece of rubber as hard as they can, like over 100 miles an hour. It's just like super violent and crazy, and it happens in an instant. But no, hockey is but really, it's so cool. It happens so fast. It's funny because there's a lot of similarities with like soccer in terms of like the rules and like how certain things are played and everything. And like, I'm just not a soccer fan, and it's like, it's not.
I like
it's
the
not
World
everybody.
Cup.
I have a confession.
Same.
I'm wearing a hockey sweatshirt.
You are wearing
I noticed that. Yes.
And I'm not
The Waco Wizards. Shout out. Looks like
fan.
Green Goblin, Hobgoblin from Spider-Man. Yeah.
This is a hockey sweatshirt. I didn't plan that, John.
Yeah.
Waco used to have a semi-pro team.
Semi-pro.
I have a
Yeah.
story
Good
about
movie.
it. My mom worked at the Coliseum, like when the Wizards existed.
Oh yeah.
And so for, I think it was like my 7th birthday party, she got them to like have the ice out, and I had an ice skating birthday party.
Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty legit.
I never had birthday party. I was born 2 days after Christmas. Birthday
Yeah. You're not doing that. Well, I'm February, and so I'm a little further away from Christmas, but still kind of the same thing. Like, hey, here's that Power Rangers, toy you got. Yeah, exactly. But no, hockey, I don't know. Like, I really love football. I think football is really, I don't know. It's just interesting in its own way. But hockey is just so much faster. The way those guys are able to make those split-second decisions, and they make the pass, they wrap around, and just everything just happens so incredibly fast, and the reaction time is crazy. I mean, literally, a couple of years ago, the Stars had a player that died, literally, like, had no heartbeat, died, and tried to come back and play the game. And like, those guys are built different, and it's just like, I'm sorry, what? Robin Williams does like a good bit, and I'm not even going to try to like impersonate any of it, but he does a good bit on hockey. But like, one of the funniest things is like, they just carry weapons and they get to fight, which is so funny. Like, they have blades on their feet and they have a stick. Like, they can just literally mess each other up, but they throw those gloves down and they just start throwing.
I know, it's like the only sport that they like legitimately let you fight it out.
You got to air out those grievances, I guess, or whatever. You imagine that,
like a Festivus.
Let's bring it into band. That one judge, he hits you a little low, then ding, ding, ding. Here come the gloves. And you you get to challenge your rating. How about that?
There was like a box outside of the stage.
Brad Kent, if you're listening.
Yeah. Listen here, old man. We got to step outside. I'll show you what a 3rd division right hook looks like. Yeah, but I don't know. But I don't know. I love it. I love being at the game. I love the environment of hockey. It's really cool. And plus, like, I went to the Winter Classic a couple of years ago. So the big outdoor hockey game, and when 90,000 people yell "Stars" during the national anthem, it's good.
I've seen videos of that.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
neat.
There.
So is there any other teams that you were just like a diehard for?
I'm diehard Stars fan. I not super into baseball, but I like the Rangers, which is ironic saying that after we got to go like play there. But
What? You've only been to one World Series
I've been
baseball game.
I've been to a World Series.
See, I can't say anything about that, so that's cool.
And it was the Rangers game.
Hey, well, okay.
And I went for free.
Okay,
wow.
But your brother is also an Astros fan.
Yeah.
He was like, I got to go to the World
Yeah.
Series.
What chance to go to the World Series? You go to the World Series.
What's that? Is it bandwagon? Is that the term
Not
that
a,
you use
you know,
for when
it was
somebody?
free.
So taking
It
up a
was
ticket
free.
from somebody
Yeah,
else.
yeah. I
fine.
think they call that
As long as I'm not wearing. Never mind.
Yeah, but no, and then until what about a week ago, I was a Cowboys fan.
Well,
I was.
Weren't we all?
Yeah, let's just.
As long as you're not wearing red this week, I think you're all good. I don't know. The Eagles are just as bad. As far as like which fandom do you
as
want?
a recovering, I had Saquon Barkley on my fantasy team twice. Person, I need this guy to go off to validate those picks of taking him so early, like twice, and then him being injured. Like, great guy, great talent. He's already proven that. But like, go get that ring, so that way I'd be like, yeah, I had him on my fantasy team.
Oh.
I had him on my fantasy team first.
Yeah. I tell you this, and maybe I get judged for this, but I don't care. 2018, we won state marching contest. That was the first year I won my fantasy football league.
Oh.
That meant more to me than winning the state marching contests. And I don't care how that sounds, because I had been in that league by that point for like 8-9 years.
Who's in your league?
So a couple other band directors are in it now, but at the time it was like buddies I went to high school with.
Mm-hmm.
And
throwback.
Yeah.
OG.
Oh no. And in like some high school, some college and stuff like that. And shout out Kyle Ramsey if you're listening, because he was like the original king. He won first couple years we did it. He won like 3 or 4 almost in a row and stuff. But I was miserable in that. But 2018, I had to win 6 in a row, like to get into playoffs and to win the thing. And I did it. And I was like, I'm sorry, like Jerry Jones, call me right now. Like, look, I can tell you how to do it because I just did it. So, there you go.
Your GM.
Jerry, if you're listening.
So what's
Please.
your decompress? So like, what are the other things that you do? So fantasy football.
Yeah, fantasy football's fun. I love to be bad at golf. And I put it that way absolutely intentionally. I do not care 1 ounce to be good at golf. I tried when I first picked up the sport. I was like, okay, I'm going to keep score and do that. And I would just get so mad. Like Happy Gilmore, I'm just going to rage, like talking to the ball, go to your home ball and stuff like that. And, I still get mad, but I don't keep score. If the ball goes forward, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good swing and stuff. But I like playing golf, and I like being bad at it because, it kind of keeps me centered in like, this is, I don't know, like the learning process, okay, like no wonder that kid can't play D flat or whatever. He's got to get the functionality of it down. It's like, no wonder I can't hit the ball straight because I'm like doing these mechanics wrong or whatever. So I like doing that.
What's your handicap?
I don't know. I'm going to tell you, I don't even know. Look, if it's a par 5, I know minimally I'm swinging 5 times.
Yeah, the price is wrong.
All I can picture now is John like at a putt-putt course yelling at a clown like animatronic.
I've been there. Top golf, same thing. Like it doesn't matter. Like I'm gonna swear at the ball, and it's sometimes it's nice just to yell obscenities, and no one out there cares because there's gonna be some person on another hole going, yeah, I feel that.
Playing like the Angry Birds.
Yeah,
game
basically. Yeah, and you can yell all the expletives you want, and it's fine. So I like that. Last year, this was a new one for me. I got into running 5Ks, and I do not like running. I despise running. Running is awful. It's the worst thing ever. So shout out to people that love running, but I like 5Ks because I like passing people, and I'm not fast by any means. I am slow. I run like somewhere between a 10 and 11 minute mile, and I don't know where that falls into things. My whole goal with running a 5K is keep it under my age, because that sounds good, And so as long as my time is under my age, I'm fine or whatever. But you're bobbing and weaving through like all these people that because some people like to walk or they just kind of do their own speed, and that's totally fine, like to each his own or whatever. But in my head, I'm blasting music. I'm like, I'm so fast. I'm like Sonic the Hedgehog, like weaving through here or whatever.
This is how I feel when I play Mario Kart with the twins.
Yeah, it's the same thing for me. Again, no disrespect to all those people, but in my head, I'm like, yeah, I'm first place. I got that gold mushroom. I'm ready to go.
Well, you did did you do a turkey trot this year?
I did a turkey trot on Thanksgiving, and then I did a Christmas Eve one. I did 6 last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you going to do the tmea or TBA one?
I thought about it, tmea, but since we were kind of having our clinic / performance, I'm not going to do anything there. And then hot take, I'm not really like a big fan of TBA because it's hot and just, I don't know. I don't really go to TBA.
You
but
guys did a TBA clinic.
I know we did.
I know, and when you asked me to do that, I was like, "Look, I'm going to do it because like I love you, and I'm going to be a part of this." And it was a great clinic.
Yeah, I'm going to hate every second.
I was literally there. Yeah, I was literally there for that, and I like went home afterwards. I was like, I showed up and everything, but it'd be like that sometimes.
Well, since you touched on it, can you tell us a little? So you're doing you're the Spotlight.
Yep. We're the program Spotlight.
All right. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about
that? We are doing that. No. So TMEA recognizes 3 bands: a large high school, a small high school, and a middle school. So we are the small school for this year. And so, so what we're going to do is we're going to perform a little bit, but then the main thing of it is we're just going to talk about, how we run things in Cameron. We're going to talk about vertical alignment from 6th to 12th grade. We had that conversation today. Like I was working on something with high school and I was like, they can't do this. Where did that plate get dropped in the learning process in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade? Same thing. 8th grade can't do this. So let's make sure that we've taught it in 7th grade. Let's make sure it was introduced in 6th grade. So, we have the same struggles as everybody of like, oh, whoops, we didn't know that happened. So now we got to reteach that. So we're going to talk about that. Talk about our rehearsal process, because I'm big on it's called process over product, because you spend more time in the process than you do the product. I mean, you perform, like I think about this every year, we commit 5 months to 8 minutes of performance, and if you want to round up and say it's 15 minutes, okay, fine. But like 5 months, July, August, September, October, and November for some of us, that's 5 months we commit to 15 minutes of performance. Like it's crazy to me. And you spend more time of that. You spend, 4.5 of those months in the process. So to me, it's really important that from 6th grade through 12th grade, those kids learn how to rehearse. And that we all use the same like terminology and rehearsal flow, and we structure everything the same. So by the time they get, all it is like, hey, this is the things that we do to make it by the time they get to high school, they're a little more self-sufficient. So we talk about that, and then we commiserate with all of our small school homies of like, yeah, well, we have these problems. Like we had a sports banquet for athletics on Monday. Totally fine. I totally get that. Couldn't have Monday night practice because of that, because to me, it was wrong to go to all those coaches and be like, hey, because of this, I need to take out 2/3 of the soccer team or 2/3 of the basketball team to have my band practice early. So I was like, it's fine. Like go do the athletic banquet, and we'll make up the time, or we won't, and that's fine. Because like our big thing in Cameron is if we can't do it in the class period, we can't do it. Because we don't have the luxury of like extra sectional time, or we try to do Monday nights, but it's just so hit or miss that like anytime that we can do something like that, it's bonus. So we're just kind of talking about that stuff. We'll perform a little bit. We're at a piece commission, so Leandre Benton, who is a really great composer, has been doing some of the sight reading for UIL the last couple of years. He wrote a piece for us that we're going to premiere called Drum Fire, so super excited about that. And for a lot of small schools right now, especially in our region, we're going to contests right now or getting ready for contests. So normally it's just 3 pieces of music. Well, it's so wild. It's 4 pieces of music, which like shouldn't be a lot, but it's crazy how you add 1 more piece of music. And I'm like, oh yeah, like 2 weeks from tomorrow, I'm going to be on a stage and people are going to be listening. But
I have another question for you that I've been dying to ask you since Region Band.
Sure.
Have you fixed your baritone player's spit valve yet?
It came back from the shop today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Tell me the story. I wasn't there.
Well, so John took an L apparently.
Big L.
And it's been
big L. Jayla, if you're listening, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, months of an issue. Months?
Years.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
So what happened was I'm a band director, and band directors, if we don't write it down, we forget. And so
I have to have everything in email form.
Yeah, exactly. So it wasn't written down. So she did what every kid does. Hey, Mr. Schriver, my instrument's broken. Okay, well, let me take it. Okay, well, it'll like be fine, but we'll send it to the shop. It'll be fine. Months, maybe a year goes by. So what happened is on her water key, the cork was coming off. and come in undone or whatever. And so like a year later, she goes, "Hey, like it's getting pretty bad. It's pretty airy when I play." And I'm like, "Well, okay, but some of that airiness is you just need to do this with your embouchure. You need to put more air into it. Typical band director thing, like whatever. Like
it's a
little soft gaslighting. It's no big deal. We've all been there, right? Yeah. Anyway, it's fine. Don't judge. We listen and we don't judge, right? That's what is that, episode 2? Yeah, exactly. And so anyway, so here we are. A couple Saturdays ago, we're at the Region Band Clinic, and I get a text message. She goes, "It broke real bad. SOS." And so I send one of my assistants to go take a look, and I get a text back like, "Yeah, it's gonna have to like for real go to the shop." And so they were able to like put tissue paper to plug the hole and then like tape it or
electrical
whatever.
tape. Yep, band directors always travel with electrical tape.
And so we made it work. And so that next week or whatever, shout out Tarpley Music for all of our repair needs in Cameron. You're doing a great job. But got it back from the shop, and they polished it up. She's like, "It's like a brand new baritone." I'm like, "Yeah, see, I take care of everything. First time. You
just have to ask.
Yeah, you just have to ask, and I'll do it. Like anything for you, senior drum major."
Just like
2 years.
2 years. Yeah, I was there for like the fall apart, and I was just like, "How long did that take?" And you're like,
"Yeah." Look, it's fine.
So what has been other than this one? What's been a mistake that you've had that's
man? I've made so many. Okay, let me give you. I'll do a professional one, and then I'll do some like personal ones because I those are kind of like anecdotal. But okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. I just learned this week. Accidentals in music. Okay. Yeah, no, sorry. That sounded like I was going somewhere else. They are a thing. I have a kid playing the Creston Sonata. He's going for it, and he's a really great saxophone player. We're looking at this chromatic run. Correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't know accidentals. They only apply to the note. Like if it's like first space,
it
only applies to that.
This is
okay.
There's
I had to go to Google AI help me out on this one. So I'm
if it's in a different register.
If it's in a different register, it doesn't apply. So if it's first space F natural and it's F sharp in the key signature, the first space would be F natural. The top line would be F sharp.
I feel like this is not, and I could be wrong and I could just be an idiot, but I feel like this is not standardized across the...
I feel like this too, because I've taught it like, okay, it's a natural sign, so both would be natural.
Can we get Jerry Junkin to weigh in on this, please?
Yes, please. Yeah. You saw Dr. Wilson the other day. Call him real quick. Put him on speaker. Right. So I found out my whole life has been a lie. So that was a good one. And then, man, I think the best one for me is like that flip that you do as the director, where like one day you're like, "Nope, we need to do it like this," and then like a week, maybe the next day you come back and, "No, guys, we got to do it the other way."
Like
yeah, and especially if you had that mentor come in and they're like, "Why are you playing it like that?" Well, we put it like the other way, and then it magically locks in. You're like, okay. And so that's another good one. But I think for me, like a bigger one, like on a personal one, is no surprise, a band director that is like way too consumed with band, and like it lives rent free in my mind too much. And so I mentioned before, like I made a lot of sacrifices for the job, and so I feel almost radical. Like now that it like I don't say like I'm old by any means, but like now, like the Monday night thing, like there used to be a version of me that would be like, "Oh my God, what are we going to do? We lost that Monday night." Now I'm like, okay. Like I said, we design the way we're going to do things to fit in the class period anyway. So, at the end of the day, like band directing is not a personality. And so like, that's kind of like a big thing for me is like for too long, I like became obsessed with like, what does that resume look like, and like, ooh, what judging job am I going to take, and like am I being, and like finally I was like, it's not worth it. And you start looking at the things that you sacrifice and lose chasing that, and no matter if you think it's for the right reasons or not, it's never worth it. Like being at the band hall later than you need to be it's never going to change things, because at the end of the day, process over product, guys. Like it's what you're doing in that real 8 to 5, or really for most of us 7 to 6, like that's what you're doing. And so I fall into that trap still a lot of like being obsessed with, am I doing enough?
I mean, because we all like to a certain degree want the quote unquote clout.
Yeah.
I mean, because we all want to feel important and we all want to feel special.
Sure.
I mean, that's part of the thing. That's why we want first chair.
Yeah.
Like I'm one of those kind of people that like, that's why I have a checklist for like being a region band organizer, because I want first chair. I want to be the first person to get my.
We're literally in a cult. Like band directing is a cult, and you only know if you're in it. And we're all indoctrinated, and then now we become mini cult leaders, and we have like our own little cult, and we're like, no, but like it's called recruitment and retention.
Unfortunately,
and you, yes, yeah, I know. So anyway, you'll edit this out in post. It's fine. And so, but anyway, like the first four letters of culture are cult, and so like I listen to exactly, like I like living my dream right now, being on a podcast, and one of my favorite podcasts out there is called Time Suck, and he does Stan Cummings, stand-up comedian. He does a lot about cults and stuff, and I just sit there and listen. I'm like, how can you get somebody to just commit that hard to it, and how can you do that? And then not me forgetting like, I can't go do that because I have band practice. And I'm like, oh no, I'm in one, and now I kind of lead it a little bit.
You're in charge,
and you win state one time, and people give you band director clout, and now I have like band director aura and stuff, and so like I like supposed to know things or whatever, but
just stumbling your way through.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't even know.
So you were also the Region 8 Vice Admiral?
Well, okay, that was a joke I started. It's vice coordinator. It was jazz coordinator. Well, it was jazz coordinator, but as a horn player, I just didn't feel right being called jazz coordinator. And so when Mark took over as region coordinator, I don't know where he made this up. I think he just made this up to just like make me sound cool. But he was like, well, I know like another region does a thing and they call it vice coordinator. They're like, region coordinator light. And I was like, okay, well, if you want to call it that, like you're the man in charge, like that's fine. And so we did that, but I've brought up the vice admiral thing just because I thought it was funny, like Star Wars reference in there, Navy reference, whatever. And so the first region meeting that I was elected that, you guys remember that had the big hat?
I sure do.
And of course now, like you didn't realize that was like 9 years ago. And so like half the region doesn't know this.
You need to bring it back.
I guess I do, because like all these new people that we have, like, just they're like, oh, there's the vice admiral, and they're like, why do we call him that? And I was like, look, there was one time it was a hat in like shout out Pirates of the Caribbean. That's where I kind of got the bit from too, because Jack Sparrow was like, oh, I'll get you a big hat.
What's your favorite movie trilogy or series?
Oh man,
we're gonna burn some bridges now.
Okay, man, that was not on the list of questions you said.
Yeah, exactly.
But this is real. This is how you know it's not scripted.
How do you remind me of Jeff Goldblum when you do that?
Oh, yeah. I'm so bad with impersonations, but Jeff Goldblum is the go. Like, if I could be, do you know he plays jazz piano?
Oh yeah.
Like, if you ever watched that,
like he does like he did an interview with Jon Stewart, I think, and he does this whole entire like quote that he lives by, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
He's an interesting person.
Yes. I mean, the Jurassic Park pose.
Oh.
We could put a
sexy
poster.
Jeff Goldblum?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
put a poster of that in this house, and I'd be okay with it.
Right, yeah, exactly. Well, again, we'll edit that in post, so it's fine. Okay, movies. So anything with Jeff Goldblum, we've decided is greatness. No, okay, so for me, the first thing that popped in my head was like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And this was purely why, because when it would come on TV when I was in college, USA or TNT, one of those, it was TNT, they would always show it as a marathon. And so I'd be like, I have homework to do, and that would be on. And like on Sundays, they would show all three back to back. And I'm like, I don't have homework to do. Close this laptop. And I would sit there and watch 9 hours or 10, 12, 26 hours of
Okay, so this
Lord
is
of the Rings. But
someone at this table has never seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
tell me how that makes you feel.
It makes me feel real
I have
sad
offered
inside.
to watch them.
Okay.
Yeah, but
the baby's not here anymore.
Literally, Harry Potter was on.
Yeah,
while I was in there. Like, it's the better version.
I've offered to watch them. I think he's just too impatient to sit there and watch them.
No, because I would watch it and I'd watch you and look for your reactions. And if you're not in love with it as much as I am,
in love with it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an issue.
There's very few things better than watching a person watch a show that you love, like Game of Thrones. Is like a great. I'm gonna watch somebody watch Game of Thrones
until you get the last 2 seasons.
Well, yeah, that's a whole nother podcast.
And like, okay, this is where we kind of differ. I can't watch The Office.
Oh yeah,
I can watch some of The Office.
Okay,
I can't watch The Office because of Michael Scott.
Is it the cringe?
It's the cringe.
Okay, so you know how people will like watch scary movies and they like put their hands in front of their face. I'm the same way with cringe. I can't watch.
I can't do it. There's a few things I really like about the show.
Have you seen the Scott's Tots episode?
Wow.
Yes, I have. That one made me hurt
I can't do that one. Anything cringe. Yeah, and like literally, I'm just walking cringe. Like when I did a Region Band clinic this last weekend in middle school, and I told them like, look, you're either gonna laugh or you're gonna cringe. There is no in between. And so, for somebody that is naturally cringe humor, I can't watch it. Maybe it says a lot about me. That's my therapist.
I felt like earlier the dinner party episode because like John.
Dinner party, yes.
I'm trying to make dinner and I feel like it's like way past time.
Yeah, Jose's over here showing me his neon light. It's plasma TV. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
They walk in and she's like, "It'll just be a couple hours."
Yeah, you just started. Oh, okay.
So I mean, is it Lord of the Rings?
Man, I don't know. Like that's such a curveball. I don't know. I like a lot of the my favorite superhero of all time is Iron Man. And so 1 and 3 are really good, and we just pretend that 2 never happened. So that's really good. And you know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna be like halfway on the ride home, and I'm gonna be like, look, I'm gonna call you, and you're gonna like loop in somehow into the podcast, like these 4 movie sequels or whatever. Yeah,
I mean, you brought up the Dark Knight series.
Dark Knight's pretty good, and that was pretty good. I'm like a fan of that, but I don't know. I was trying to think of something that would give me like that rewatchability. Yeah, I feel like that's what you want to go for.
My favorite? Ooh, I don't know if I have like an absolute true favorite. I can watch Star Wars on repeat, the original 3.
Sure.
Not the episode 1, 2, and 3.
I watched episode 8 the other day, and I had not seen that since it came out in theaters. And like I remember watching in theater, and you're like in the magic of the theater, and like okay, like that was different, but okay. And I like sat down the other day, I was like, I understand now. Yeah. So, but before you do yours, I can tell you hands down the movie I've seen the most amount of times though, and that is The Greatness of Independence Day. Jeff Goldblum for the win again.
We see the influence.
Yes,
we do that every single 4th of July.
Oh, that I have seen that movie. Nothing shy of maybe 50, 60 times.
Now,
I could probably quote
I have 2 movies I can watch all the time. And they're both like very interesting. One.
Hold on. Can you name them?
His
2 movies.
My 2 movies I can watch all the time.
Can you name his 2 movies?
I don't know if my brain is in the right place to do this.
Oh.
Your 2 movies.
This is like the newlywed game, but it's been a while.
Yeah, one of them's my favorite movie of all time. You already know it.
The Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption.
Okay. The eye contact is really extreme.
Yeah.
The Shawshank Redemption.
And the movie I grew up all the time watching with my brother. I can quote it from
Forrest Gump.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. All right.
Those 2 movies I can watch.
Very similar kind of theme there is.
Really?
Okay, not theme, but well. You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess by theme I mean like uplifting.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the movie adaptation for us, the actual book. So it's fine.
Yeah, it's just like the Wicked. Apparently,
yeah.
I haven't read the book Wicked, but apparently
I got a chapter in, and I was like, "This is not like."
Where's the lyrics?
Yeah, I was like in high school, and I was like, "I don't think I put that down." Yeah, this was definitely defying some gravity, so I'm out here on that one. But.
You know what one of my favorite movies is that I feel like is underrated is Galaxy Quest.
Oh, Galaxy Quest.
Which is like a super parody of all. Yeah,
that's Star Trek and everything else.
Yeah,
it's very.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, I mean, a series I can watch all the time, like just put it on, let it go, is the Harry Potter series.
We literally just
this was saying that's a good one. I think like. Something I can have on the background anytime. That's also like a guilty pleasure is like Family Guy for me.
Yeah.
I'm a
Big Bang Theory.
Okay, yeah, that got me through some dark times. Yeah.
We've been watching a lot of Law and Order SVU still, though, so that is not the same
Gunk, gunk.
uplifting.
Yeah, no. But you can just come in halfway through and you could just guess the plot. Like somebody's dead. This person did it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. PG-13 for the
So, can you tell me your motivation behind your Christmas concert attire?
Okay, so we did in Valley Mills. We did the everybody dress nice and wear your Sunday best and stuff. And I honestly don't know where I got the idea, but I was like, y'all want to just wear Christmas sweaters? And they were like, yeah. So it started with a Christmas sweater, and I am a fan of a good bit. And like I commit to the bit, like if I believe in it. And so I did a tacky Christmas sweater, and then it just evolved into I found those tacky suits that you can find where they're like red and they got like snowmen and stuff.
Well, like I think one of your most recent ones was like a velour tracksuit.
Marshalls, baby. Marshalls.
She shops at Marshalls, George.
Yeah, exactly. So I should have worn that to the Christmas concert, but I felt like that was
you should wear it to your tmea clinic.
Honestly, I may have time to get Juicy emblemed to the rear end of that. Shout out millennials on that one. So anyway, just so it started with a tacky suit, and then when I came to Cameron, we kind of did a soft version of that. We went back to tacky sweaters because they normally did like concert black for even Christmas concert, and I was like, it's Christmas, like let's have fun and stuff. And then I did the tacky suit, and they were like, what? And you just got to level it up. But anyway, I want to say maybe it was Austin found that at Marshall's, and he was like, yo, what do you think? And I was like, I'll be right there. And so we like went shopping together, and he got one and I got one. And the best part about it, we wore this for the Christmas parade. And the best part of that is our marching cadence was drop it like it's hot.
Oh my gosh.
And so here we are kind of like in this throwback 90s looking outfit or whatever. And like he's got the bucket hat on. I've got the bandana, or not the bandana, the beanie on. And, we're just, walking around Christmas parade in some like 90s hip hop outfit with some 90s hip hop beats going on. It was cool, but I love a good bit like that. And I don't know, it's fun. One time I wore one of those inflatable snowman suits and conducted a song in that, but it was really hot.
Can we talk about how glorious Austin's beard is?
Okay. No, because I have beard envy and I can't grow one. And
sore subject.
Yeah, it really. Yeah, the hair on my head is like going away, but yet it's not growing in down here where it needed to. So, but his beard is pretty miraculous, and every day almost I think I get roasted by those kids going, "Hey, Ms. Schriver, when is your beard coming in?" I'm like, "Never, apparently." So, but
one of my favorite things that you did was post one of your photos of yourself from like middle school band.
Mm-hmm. That stuff is funny to me. It was the one where I was playing French horn. Oh yeah. I'm like first chair all city. I thought I was like hot stuff. I was first chair all city 8th grade. I'm like, I'm the best horn player in Mesquite, Texas, because that matters. I didn't even know the all-state band was a thing. And then like the next week I go to all region and I get the last possible band spot. And I cried. I was so like, and like just so hurt about it or whatever. But I love that picture. I'm like, first chair.
It's a great picture. I really enjoy that one.
I have a question. As growing up in the DFW area, did you go to the Sandy Lake amusement park?
I actually had no idea that was a thing until I want to say college. We went to Six Flags and we would just go. We didn't. We would do like festivals in the spring, and we like did every band goes to Disney or whatever. Yeah. But I had no idea Sandy Lake was a thing. I want to say maybe I was teaching by the time I found out that was a thing. And but I never went to the greatness of Sandy Lake.
Neither did
I.
I think we might have dodged the bullet.
I had several people text me after the last episode, and they were like, "You just unlocked a memory that I forgot that I had."
I feel like
I have to go get this tetanus shot. Real
quick. Like I might not be okay. Yeah, no, I never had that.
Pushed it to the back.
Yes, no, I never had that experience. And then by the time I was like even remotely interested in going, it was no longer a thing. So,
what's one of the funniest things a student has done?
So, man, kids are just inherently funny, and sometimes their funniest moments are when they don't mean to be. One of my earliest memories from like actually teaching. I was in my office, and quick backstory is the assistant superintendent told me at football games sometimes maintenance had to go out and clear rattlesnakes from around the stands at football games in the summer. And so I'm like, oh, that's terrifying. So meanwhile, we're in the break from summer break, and I hear kids going, there's a snake, there's a snake. A kid pushes his face into the glass of my office, like nose up and everything. And he goes, there's a snake. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, it's a rattlesnake. I don't know what to do. This is terrifying. I go out, it's a garden snake that's like 4, maybe 5 inches. And I just pick it up and I like throw it outside. And they were like, Mr. Schriver, so hardcore. And I'm like, okay. So like that was a good one. I had kids, they wanted to do a senior prank, and they were like, well, you promised not to be mad. And I was like, no, because I need to know what you're doing. And they're like, we can't tell you. And I was like, fine. I was like, sure. And so they all like skipped a rehearsal, and I don't remember what it was for, but we were like very close. Like it was a rehearsal that like they probably shouldn't have skipped, but they skipped it. And then they ran in, and they were like in ghillie suits and like, like those like green suits that are like, you can't see their face, like a whole body suit. They're like in those with like crazy stuff, and they have tortillas, and they're like throwing them around like frisbees at kids and like trying to throw them into the tuba and stuff like that. And then they like run around, and they're all silly. And then class ends, and they come back and they go, all right, we're here to clean it up now. And I was like, all right, and, but that was pretty good. I don't know. And then, I try to think of stuff like that happens like in the moment. And like, sometimes like, I had a kid the other day, we were sitting there and I was teaching, and then it got quiet, and he was typical junior high kid. He just makes a fart sound. And it just blows a raspberry, and then everybody goes, huh? And then of course we all catch the giggles.
Yeah.
And it's just little incidental stuff like that is humanizing.
I was also walking around in rehearsal with an American flag today.
That was distracting.
Yeah, it was great.
That sounds really intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite stories is that so when I was over at Robinson, we did a kind of an outreach concert. We went up to the Cancer Research Center up in DFW.
That's really cool.
And like did just a performance, and then we took them to Six Flags just to have a good time. So that way, I always wanted the kids to see that, like, hey, you could be in a much worse place. And it was a very rewarding situation. We had like people going like, thank you for being here for us. And I told the kids, I go, these people are here discovering one of two things: either the best news of their life or like the worst news of their life. And so, it was very like eye-opening to some of them. And we went to Six Flags afterwards because we needed to cleanse, because that's a heavy subject. And we get back on the buses. And I want you to understand, if I go to Six Flags or any amusement park, there are two things I find. One is a turkey leg.
Okay.
Turkey leg it's part of my soul.
The first priority.
Yeah, very specific.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. No, it has to be like, I don't know what it is, but
I can feel the energy.
It's I mean, it's Big Mac.
Serious about it.
Yeah. So that's number one. The second thing is a funnel cake.
That's fair.
Yeah. So those are the two things. So by the end of the trip, I'm just like, I'm going to have a heart attack.
Right.
Mr. Sanchez, your cholesterol's high. Well, yes, I come from the culture that refries beans. Leave me alone. So we get on our bus, and we're about to start heading home. And we're heading home. We're probably an hour in. And
I was there.
Yeah,
we were like in Hillsboro.
Yeah, we were an hour in. And I just go, and like, I have the nose for it. And I go, is somebody eating a turkey leg? And sure enough, I turn around, and the girl who's sitting behind me had taken the turkey leg from the music park, wrapped it up in the aluminum foil, stuffed it in her bag.
Heck yeah.
And then brought it out on the way back. Yeah. Alyssa Vetzko, congratulations on your wedding.
Yeah. Name drop. Yeah.
So
this girl's gonna be president someday. Yeah.
She, like,
or CEO
just like real talk, just brought out a turkey leg in the middle, like coming back from her trip. And I was just like, it resonated deeply with me.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know that I had anything follow up like that, but I don't know. It's just funny how kids are resilient. Like now, kind of similar. We were coming back from Six Flags one time, and some kids had gotten those jelly beans that are all different flavors.
Oh.
And so we were passing that around, and that was wild. But our bus driver, who at the time was also a band mom, which was super convenient. And so she was like, give me one, give me one. And so kid's like, I don't think you want to play this while you're driving. She's like, no, I can do it. I can do it. She got a vomit flavored jelly bean. And I was like, please don't crash the bus. But,
So now that we're talking about food again, best kolaches in Texas.
Man, okay. So obviously everybody thinks of West when they get there, and you think of the Czech stop. But pro tip, and sorry, Czech stop, I hope they're not going to be a sponsor anytime soon. If you go to the light just past it, you take a right, you go up the street, I don't know, not even a half mile, there's a place around the corner called Garrick's.
Oh, yeah.
Have y'all been there?
Yeah.
That place is like 10 out of 10. And, it's off the beaten path a little bit. That's I like to go there. And then, like, I don't know, I just like going in there because they got like 90s NASCAR memorabilia, like up, and just like all these like random things. There's like the old guys that are sitting there reading the newspaper that just like, you can tell they have like some stories about things and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just like it's a very particular vibe. And then just the huge like case of kolaches and
I feel
everything.
Like Journey sang a song there, like "Don't Stop Believing."
Probably
that is the place that it's about.
Yeah, that's the smoky bar. And it's not a bar, but
it's smoky kolaches.
Yeah, you're like, I smell cigarettes, but nobody's smoking. I'm really confused at what I'm got here. Yeah. I don't know. Like, that's probably like the first place that like comes to mind. Like, if I was going to go on a kolache run, that's probably where I would go.
They have the massive cinnamon
Yes,
rolls.
the huge cinnamon rolls.
Yes.
I will fight people on this one. Greens.
Okay, Greens is pretty good, and they do a lot of
there.
stuff for Cameron. Yeah, because they're maybe 10, 15 minutes away.
I can't remember the name, the place they're in. It's like Zuckerberg or something like that.
Yeah, it's between
Zobsicville?
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
Something that has a lot of.
It's literally like you're just nowhere. You're in Farmville, and then all of a sudden, boom! There's Greens.
It's right next to Cyclone.
Yes. Yeah. But they're pretty good. They catered a band breakfast for us one year. We did Christmas party.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
And that hit. That was 10 out of 10.
Yeah, Greens is like really, really good. And the only reason I know about that is because like I used to work at Rosebud.
Can you take me there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout
Miller's outside of Lot.
Miller's.
Oh,
that is area fuel for us. We get them for dinner before area finals every year, and it always goes
it's an Anabaptist community.
Ooh,
Mennonite.
I think they're Mennonite. Yeah, but yeah, just so good.
Yeah,
just so good.
Their sandwiches.
Sandwiches.
I mean, I will drive 45 minutes to go get a sandwich.
We should do it.
Yeah, just
let's go right now. Let's knock on the door and be like, hey, yeah, it's fine.
Something with teeth, please.
Yeah.
John? What's in your ears this week?
Oh man, so I did Jungle Dance by
Brian Ballmages.
Yeah, by Brian Ballmages. Just say that 5 times fast. So I did that with the Region Band this last weekend. So that's been in there. I'm, it's kind of funny. Okay, let me ask you this: when's the last time either one of you listened to like actually new music? Not like stuff like like I listen to a lot of like
Chapel Roan
20, but not in like maybe something outside. But you went and tried to go explore.
Oh, I do that all the time. Like that's how she found one of her pieces for UI.
I'm talking about band music, not band music.
Oh, not band
music. Just something like non-band related.
It's been.
Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of music.
We listen to a lot of podcasts,
and that's fine. But I realized that like not too long ago, I was like, I listened to like alt rock from like the early 2000s, like Blink and all of them, Smash Mouth, all time greatest band ever. I listened to them a lot. I listened to band music, that's fine, and some classical. And so it's like basically the stuff I was listening to in like junior high and high school. I like stay in that echo chamber. I was like, when's the last time like we have the audacity to call ourselves music educators, but like, do we really listen to music that's not banned? My Spotify algorithm AI robot listener person will like recommend some stuff to me. But if you listen to some of the stuff too much, it's just like, oh, you like musicals? Here's musicals that you probably have never listened to and stuff. Like, they're not new, but Greta Van Fleet, I recently like really started listening to them. And I was like, holy cow, that's like really good. And so that's been really nice, but you'll edit the time it takes me to look this up in post because I want to make sure I give them. You never know; these people could be listening. The funeral portrait, I found them on TikTok, and it's all rock. So it's in the same wheelhouse, but they're really good. And then one that I was like really got into is Poor Man's Poison. They're kind of like grungy, kind of folksy sounding or whatever, and I really like them.
I like folksy sounding groups. Like there's a group that I follow called like the band Lawrence.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started listening to them a little
also,
bit.
Oddly, like sea shanties and like true like Irish
that is
dancing.
Not surprising.
No.
At all.
Yeah, you're like average white guy number 3 over here. Yeah, of course you look like well, and like my mother's maiden name is Farley, so it's in the genes, heritage, I guess, or whatever. But I really like that stuff. Stuff like that. That's that kind of folksy bluegrass. I mean, you can't listen to that and be sad. I'm sorry. Try.
No.
Try.
It's like the same thing with like ska.
Oh, don't get me started on ska.
I mean, can you describe the jacket you're wearing right now?
Ska. This is a ska. As the kids call it, it looks like a 90s arcade carpet became a sweater, and I put it on. That's literally what it looks like. It's blue, and it's got glorious. Like the hot pinks and the oranges.
I was
and
say
stuff.
skating rink.
I said skating rink, but those kids didn't grow up with that, but they know what an arcade is.
Okay.
So I was like, or bowling alley. But it's that carpet we all saw as kids, and then it became a sweater.
Yeah, the old movie theaters.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Back when times were better.
What's something you could bring back?
Oh, Nickelodeon from the 90s. I'm staying right on. So like spoiler alert, you send some of the questions in advance to kind of get the prep going or whatever. But the second I read that question, I was like 90s Nickelodeon, because the game shows, like they brought back Hollywood Squares recently. And I'm like, okay, fine. But like 90s Whose Line Is It Anyway? It's like top tier entertainment. But like Double Dare 2000.
Oh, Double Dare.
And like all that Slime Time Live and all that stuff. Like just 90s Nickelodeon is
Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yes, that is peak. That is peak. And I don't feel like we have that. Like Wipeout is the closest we
but that's just violence.
Nothing is as good as Legends of the
No, like if you think about that now, like random people would jump out of like a ball pit and kidnap those children and take them out of the game. Yeah. Think about that. And if they didn't bribe them with like the little token that they won from a mini game, they would get gotted and then they're gone. Yeah. And then the teammate would have to go in. And if that kid got gotted, you lost. Like that, it was so hardcore. And we wonder why like times are different now. So man, I sound like one of those guys. Old man yells at cloud. But
but you're also connected. So you like to game. What are you playing?
Oh man. Okay. So I bought the newest Xbox. I don't even know what it's called.
We're a PlayStation family and a Switch family.
I'm going to turn the mic off. No, I do have a Switch. Even though now they're coming out with Switch 2, which is fine. So I'm a big Mario Kart fan. I like Mario Party, but I got my new Xbox just to play Baldur's Gate 3. I'm a huge D&D fan. Again, probably no surprise. Why are you laughing? Both of you laughed at that. Like, wow.
I just said something.
Create the mystery for the illusion of these people that are the thousands of people that are going to listen to this that have no idea what I look like.
Let's shoot for millions.
Okay, excuse me. The billions of people that listen to this.
I just never got into D&D.
I just. It's but anyway, I'm
John. If you set up a game night and you do D&D, and you invite me, I might show up. I don't know anything about it.
Word is might. Look, you just got to go with the flow.
I will try it.
All you're doing is pretending Lord of the Rings is
right
real.
up your alley.
Yes, but I just that comes back to like I'm a closeted anime person.
Closeted.
Well, not anymore. Not anymore. Yeah, the microphone is on, so unless you take that out. Yeah, but and no, it's just real life Lord of the Rings, So you're just pretending, but not the live action role playing component of it.
Yeah, no LARPing.
No LARPing, and no shame if you do. I don't go that far, but no, I like that, and I'm a big Halo fan. I don't play online much anymore because I realize when I yell at the TV, they can't actually hear me. So that's why I stopped playing Call of Duty. I would pay all that money. It's kind of like early on with golf. I pay all this money to yell and scream at something that like doesn't really matter. So, fun fact: I had Call of Duty in college, and I was like home playing, and my mom was like, "I didn't realize you knew such colorful language." And I was like, "Oh, my bad, Mom. Shout out. You raised me right. I promise." It's fine.
So, guilty pleasure TV.
I think I mentioned earlier, Family Guy is a big one.
guilty pleasure TV show.
Sure.
I mean, okay, if you think of it from the construct of like we are molding the minds of the youth of America, and then I laugh hysterically at some of the inappropriate stuff on Family. Okay, that's one. I there for a little while, not anytime recently, but I would like kind of watch like soap operas.
Really?
Yeah, like The Young and the Restless.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. I watched that with like my grandmother when she would like babysit me or whatever. But like, I don't know, you just get sucked into that. Not shameless. I fully embrace that I watched this, but Gilmore Girls, I like watched that for the first time.
I've never watched it.
Oh my gosh, it's so great. I am a big fan of that. I'm Team Patty all the way and Team Luke all the way.
I have
no
clue.
Emily Gilmore. So shout out if you're a fan of Emily Gilmore. You're a real one. The mom and the daughter, not big fans, but everybody has their own life decisions.
Did you watch Breaking Bad?
I was a fan of that. Yeah,
I never finished it.
Two watch throughs of that.
I got to the Fly episode and I was done.
I also watched it through twice.
Yeah, I was like, no, I need a break.
That is the only show, like drama show, that I have actually rewatched.
Mm-hmm.
Like I tried to do Game of Thrones. I've done that Game of Thrones rewatch where like I watched it and then
you gotta stop before the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, but I've like watched people watch it, so I don't count that as a rewatch for me. Because like if I'm introducing it to somebody, I'm watching them watch it. But yeah, I don't know. I unfortunately I don't watch a whole lot of TV. If I do, I'll just turn on like whatever's on TV, like on cable or whatever, and it's already something I've like probably already watched.
Did you ever watch Chernobyl?
I did watch that. That was pretty good.
That was the scariest TV
I
show.
book too,
Like, oh my goodness! Like, what are we doing?
Besides the real life events.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. There was a real life based on the book on the real life events. Like, I'm sorry, what?
No, there's a book that's about the specific. I don't remember his name, but the guy.
Oh,
like,
okay. That guy.
That guy.
Do you think like all these different things like keep you like somewhat sane?
What, like different TV shows?
TV shows, video games, the 5Ks.
If you think about it, none of us are sane if we're talking about like band directors. I mean, what other, like, besides teaching, what other group of professionals puts the success of their career in the hands of 12 to 18-year-olds? And it's like metaphorically like a dice roll. Like, man, I did all these things. I hope that they can do it. Now time to show up, whether it's an English STAR test or, concert and sight reading or anything in between. We're all a little twisted for that. But also, I don't know, like I think it's part of the human experience, like being a not a different person, but just having that different part of you of like, yeah, I can laugh at something that's like sophomore humor, but then the next moment, like Chernobyl, which is way more sophisticated than Family Guy, and I can like zone in on that, or I can, sometimes I read books, which is cool.
What kind of books do you like to read?
So, I kind of just recently got into self-help. I don't like the way that is, but like, because I don't know, and like professional development doesn't make it sound right either, but like, motivational, I guess is fine. I read Atomic Habits, which was like so good and earth shattering. And then anything by Brene Brown is like biblical, no sacrilege intended, but just like, the stuff that she says makes sense in my brain. And so I try to be better. What I do is I try to read something like that, like a motivational, something that I feel like is going to find something in me to make me better. And then just something fun. It's called the Century Trilogy by Ken Follett. And I really like this. He starts the first book and the characters are infused. It takes place during World War I. And so they're fake, but the events are real. So they interact with like Truman and all these like actual people that are historically real. And then, so the first book goes through all the World War I events. Well, second book is World War II and is their children, is their descendants. So they're like now in it, but they're secondary characters and stuff. And the third book takes place in the Civil Rights Movement. And so he's done like 2 anthology series like that. And like that to me is like really cool because it's like mixing all these different things. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is another book series that like I really, really liked. And then, we brought up Game of Thrones, but like I started reading the books before I watched the show. And man, that was intense because George R.R. Martin, he does not want you to picture your own thing the way he words it. In my opinion, it's like, no, you see exactly like the way he would describe this table. It's like, it is this brown, it can't be, is a descriptive, it's 5 lines, and the lines have all, like, it's like the most minute details he creates. And so it's very wordy. And you're like, okay, what did I just read? And what is happening?
They're sitting at a table.
Yeah, like, that's all you need to tell me is they are at a table and, like, espionage is about to happen.
What is Gen Z? What's the Gen Z talk this week, Alexa?
I got one. Hyperpigmentation.
What?
Okay, so I had to somebody told me this, and then I had to go look it up, and I'm still not quite clear on it. So if I tell it wrong, then don't come at me. But
you'll have an email like fat correction at bandyap.com.
Honestly, they just come up to me in class, and they're like, "You didn't know what you're talking about." But
your middle schoolers are listening to your podcast. Oh, I love it. That's
like, hey,
it's like most of our listeners.
There you go. I'll drop the lore when this episode, and you'll get Cameron in on it.
They're inflating our analytics.
Look, you gotta grow it how you can.
But there's this, and it's like an older like video, but I think it kind of like resurfaced. But there's this TikTok of this girl who's like drawn this picture for her mom. And I think it's supposed to be a picture of her mom. And she's like, I don't want to show it to you. And she's like, no, let me see it. But her mom's trying to, like, I guess, hype her up. And she's like, oh, is that hyperpigmentation? And so kids say that. They're like, oh, is that hyperpigmentation?
That's pretty good. To me, it changes so fast. You know, like 4 months ago, it was Skibbity Toilet and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when, like, older people start saying it to be like ironic or whatever, like they've got to move on to the next thing and stuff. I did have my drum major try to explain a TikTok beef. I can't remember the names of the characters, but she was like, she drew a diagram with like sticky notes and everything in the office. And she was like, okay, so this person and this person were together, but like there's an age gap, like a very big age gap. But now they're both beefing to give each other, to like get clout and get more views, and saying that this person did this to them. And I just sat there and I was like, I don't like literally what you're experiencing right now. Back in our day, we called Jerry Springer.
Oh,
and like that is like, we don't have that outlet anymore. RIP, you know? and so, you know, that's what we're doing. So I don't know what we're going to do. And what it was 90 days, like a couple weeks ago. So 80 days, you know, when TikTok's gone for real, like we're going to all have to pretend Instagram reels are cool or something. Sorry. Okay. I shouldn't say that. Zuckerberg will take the podcast. Sorry.
No.
He's listening.
Yeah. Who's the greatest rapper of all time?
I think a freestyle rap new segment is you freestyle rap at the end of every episode. Can we drop some rap? Yeah, you're a percussionist. Drop some beats.
That would go very poorly for everyone involved.
But it's for the cloud.
Yeah, it's for the cloud.
That's what Gen Z's talking about. It's for the cloud.
It's for the aura points. Yeah.
Aura points. Shut up.
Well, hey, aura points is what got my 7th grade low brass today to be on point. I tell you what, they were competing for aura points.
What is aura points?
Oh.
Yeah, okay, this is a great next gen topic.
Yeah.
Like aura points. Like your aura?
Yeah, your aura right now is
confused. That's what
it's
you
giving.
Need some more points.
Yeah, you need to like the fact that you are not gonna spit some bars for us right now is minus aura.
Am I a character in a video game where I have to like have like charisma points and I have to uptick it?
Well, that's another thing is like NPCs main characters.
Yeah, main. What's the one?
The NPC wave is the big one right now. A lot of kids do.
Oh,
do you call your kids chat? Like, hey, chat.
No.
Drop that.
I've heard that.
Drop that in
sometimes.
Like, hey, chat. Let's not do that again, or you're going to get banned. Any student that's listening right now is immediately already turned it off. Like your viewership just immediately stopped.
Chat, is this real?
Yeah, is this real?
I've heard them say it. I just choose to ignore it.
Well, yeah, because like to them, you know, like for what was us, you know, like Nickelodeon and TV and stuff like that. To them, it's like Twitch and YouTube and stuff like that, where they have those live streams and chats and stuff like that. So,
well, Jose the other day said, I don't understand Instagram notes. And I said, it's your AOL away message.
It's that, or it's your, did you, either one of you guys have Zynga before MySpace?
Yes.
That was like the hardcore, like emo fest.
It was like WordPress.
Yes, it was basically WordPress, basically. But But yeah, like
guys,
Instagram,
I remember LimeWire.
There you go.
Tumblr.
Honestly, bring that back with and burn
Some
CDs.
illegal downloads.
Yeah,
and
literally,
all the viruses.
Millennials, we've reached that point where like we're bringing back the stuff from.
This is what we need to do. We need to put the podcast on LimeWire.
Yes.
You have to find
Yes.
Kids are going to be Googling LimeWire.
Yes.
Viruses everywhere.
Exactly.
Trojan, you get malware. You get malware.
Everybody gets malware. Yeah. That's cool.
It's
an Oprah reference that they don't know because they don't know who Oprah is.
Yeah.
I mean, no, they
She
do
hasn't had
now.
a show
This
in
has
a long time.
gone from band yap to like, you remember when? Pepper's Farm remembers. So that's what this podcast is now evolved into.
Well, yeah, okay. So
if you made it this far.
last question for me. Why band?
Because I was not good at anything else, and that is 100% the reason I went and studied band in college. Because I'm literally not good at math. Like, you could ask me to do like a basic multiplication right now. Go for it, and my brain.
3 times 7.
21. Sorry, that was me.
Oh, I had a panic attack. Thank you for saying the answer. I was like, there's a 2, I think. 10. Math. So anyway, no, I'm not good at math. And so what had happened was like I like band. And so like, and I like music, but at that time I didn't know I liked band. I didn't like music. And to me, there's a difference. There's a difference between teaching band and being a music educator. Those are two different things. That's a whole nother podcast. But anyway, I got there, and like John Williams was a big influence on me, as he is for like most of us. I'm like, okay, I want to learn how to do that. I want to learn how to write music. And then I took music theory and realized that
Your brain doesn't work.
Again, because it's incredibly mathematical, and I'm like, I don't get it. And so I was like, well, I'm here, so I'll just play my scales real nice and then figure it out. And I was actually a really bad horn student. I had that 8:00 lesson on Friday mornings. And bless you, Professor Morrow, if you're listening, you were the GOAT because you took pity on me. And he would be like, okay, well, if you can't play it, how would you teach it? And that was like really profound on me because I was like, oh, I've got to like, I don't even know how I would like, how do I learn that? And so that was like a seed that I didn't realize was being planted. So he took pity on me and we did that. But it wasn't until like my junior year, like taking the how to be a band director class and talking about like rehearsal planning and like conducting and stuff like that, like the light bulb went off. And then I remember being in like wind ensemble that year, and we played, I think it was that year. One year we played Angels in the Architecture. And then we did that. We had Alan Vizzuti come out and play. And it was like one of the most like musical, just wow, like this is really happening moments. Just like you really connect with what you're doing. And I was like, I like sometimes like equate it to like a drug addict high. Like you're always chasing that performance high of like, like no matter if it like wins state or it's just a really good performance, that energy that like both the kids or you feel, like if it's them performing or you yourself performing, that high that you feel, it's just addicting. And you're like, okay, I want to like keep perpetuating this. And just like the journey of like chasing music, back to the process of things. Let's just round that out real quick. But committing to that, I was like, okay, I want to do that. And I have this stronger connection to music. I want to find a way to get other people to do that. And so it's like I tell my students every day, band is the vehicle we use to teach music. Band is not its own thing. Band is literally like, as they get older, they go from playing the instrument to the ensemble becomes their instrument. And as for us as their teachers, that's our vehicle for making music, because we don't get to sit down and play as much as we used to. I mean, it would be great. And, like I would love to like play up in the Waco Community Band sometime again, but I don't get that opportunity. I don't have time. So like what those students are able to do, that's my instrument in allowing them an opportunity to kind of experience it the way that I experience it. And hopefully that transcends into, for me, it's a lifelong love of music. And if I can get them to carry that with them, that's for me, that's why band.
Bucket list piece of music.
I have a couple. First Suite in E flat, Chester Overture for band.
Oh, Chester, get out of here.
Yep. Yeah, Chester Overture for band. I did in college, and that was like monster. So I want to do that.
You gonna do Jesus Wept too?
No. And man, I don't know. I have like a couple, and it's like all like right place, right time or whatever.
Not to yuck your yum. I'm sorry.
No, you totally did that. Like, wow, we're doing this amazing podcast. We've had so much fun. We bonded over Jeff Goldblum movies, and now at the end of it, like, you want to do Chester over?
This is why people don't like it.
Yeah, this is yeah.
It's just like when I say about the Granger thing.
I'm scared to do Granger because
everyone has an opinion about it.
That is too much work. It really, because
you have to do too much research. Too much.
But okay, he has his Granger isms, and he has specific colors that he wants. And so, like, if you don't have a bassoon, you can't do Granger.
Yeah.
You don't have double reeds, you can't do that. There's certain colors that he wrote that only he can create, and he can only create in his music. And maybe it's just being a small school director thing or whatever. It's whatever, man. Like, I'll listen to somebody else play it and whatever. Like First Sweden, you could say it's the same thing. Everybody has an opinion on that.
Mm-hmm.
Do they breathe after the first 4 measures, or they breathe all in 8? What do you do there? But
it's an 8. It's an 8. As a tuba player, it's 8,
and that's fine. And that's these are the conversations we should be having. But there's that. I could probably like go down like you're doing Let Me Be Frank, right?
Supposedly I'm doing
I really like that piece. I would love to do more of some of like to Kelly's more advanced stuff, whether my ensemble now allows me to, or if I go up the ranks into like 5A 6A or college or something like that. But I don't know, like I think you can make every piece fun, but yeah, some of that heavy hitter stuff would just be cool. I think really truly it would be Symphony Number 4 by Tchaikovsky. Like, would be like
the pizzicato movement.
Yeah, and just that. I mean, horn player. Like, it starts horn, just opening fanfare, just slam it or whatever. I think as being a band director, we sometimes get removed from orchestral works, and every now and again I come back. I'm like, why did I stop listening? This is dope. Like, to do Jupiter. Oh. Like, that would be great. Again, horn player.
We just watched Bluey and just
Oh god, yeah. Let's not, because we don't need to start crying. Yeah. What about for you guys?
For me, a band piece that I would really like to perform and have my band perform is Hounds of Spring.
You say that all the time.
I love the horn line in it.
Yeah.
And in the middle section, the B section it's beautiful.
Sure.
And I just really enjoy it. And it's just like, I don't know, there's something about like French horn when it's done well.
Yeah.
Like, it is like
we're the best instrument in the band.
Yeah, okay.
You can't tell what I played. Can you? Yeah. No, but like literally French horn, who gets all the cool parts in the movies.
But like, we're playing like Let Me Be Frank, and that's a huge, like, the horn line in there is great.
Right.
And then our second piece is Infinite Hope, which is like also like cinematic, and it's huge French horn moment. And it's just like, I dig it.
Yeah.
Like, but that's a piece like I really, really, really enjoy, and I wish that I had an opportunity to play it, and I never got to.
Right.
The Hanson Symphony Number 2, fantastic piece of work, and I really enjoy that one. As well.
Hot take: to Kelly does not always write the best horn parts. And that's why Let Me Be Frank with You is good, because Mackie wrote it. And,
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like the beginning of Shenandoah. Good luck on that first note.
Yeah, we don't have time for that, but one of my most traumatic high school band memories is playing that piece. And not the beginning part, but there's like this ending section, it's kind of winding down, and the horn, kind of like leads it in. Mm-hmm. I'm taking my sweet time being musical because I thought I was cool in high school.
Did you sway? Were you a swayer?
In college I was, but anyway, I took my sweet time with that, and the band director, he's like, that's not what we're on. And I kept doing it, and he cut me from it and gave it to the all-state German foreign exchange student that we had that like stole my thunder. It's fine. What about you? What's your
Okay, I have one that I will never, like, this is not something I'll ever do based on the ensembles I teach, but I'd really like to do Weinberg C.
Well, okay, but we're talking about bucket lists, like if you got to...
Which also starts with cool French horn.
Again, we're catching the theme here.
Yeah.
So sorry to profession. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean...
Enjoy those downbeats.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Weinberg C is pretty dope, though.
Yeah.
Just that one, or is there any...
I mean, I would like to do the Holst.
Yeah.
The first suite. I say the Holst like there's only one. He wrote
a lot of
music.
But when you say the Holst, I mean, you got one or two options.
I like playing that piece as a percussionist too. Like, that's a fun one.
Yeah, and I mean that was like, hey, we're no longer like military. I mean, we all know the history, so we don't need to like get into it or whatever. But like Persichetti Symphony for band.
Yeah.
It was like specifically for percussion. Like, hey, do you know there's a different drum that you can use? That's so crazy. So
there's more than one.
Yeah, there's another piece that I like things that are kind of rooted in like the jazz, like style. I guess because I'm a tuba player, I didn't get a lot of jazz experience.
I feel that. I feel stunted in my musical.
But like, I love jazz, and I actually feel like I'm somewhat okay at teaching it.
Sure.
And so
it's it's a lot. There's similarities in marching band in terms of like articulations and stuff like that.
So
zip zop zippity bop.
It is. It's a grade 5.
It's a lot of this.
It's not Afterburn because that's
I think standard. Is there a website that you can go to?
Maybe UIL.
Yeah.
PM.
Have you ever heard of it? Have you ever tried to look something up on there?
No, never. Never. I have never looked at the UIL PML.
I don't think. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. We don't have to pick music from that, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. You can.
You ever done that? You ever been like, I want to play this, and you realize it's not on the list, or it got taken off the list? Shout out Adrenaline Engines, bring it back.
Adrenaline.
Yeah.
Oh,
man.
That was the first piece of music I had make state OPS, and
that was the piece I played with the concert band at Robinson, where they got their first sweepstakes in years.
It's a great piece of music. Still is. We say that like, oh, it's not on the PML anymore.
We can't play it ever again.
It's
dead to us.
Yeah, exactly. So, Randall Sanders, if you're listening, 1, sponsored them. 2, your music's great.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that. Like, he writes like good music.
He really does. Like, he gives everybody an opportunity to have fun.
He does,
and I think that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the one that everyone's been playing? Joy.
Revisited. Choose Joy.
Choose Joy.
That's a good.
Like that was like I listened to that for the first time and I was like, this is.
I'm not a big fan of repeating pieces, but we did that we concluded our spring concert a couple years ago with that. We're going to bring it back this year to conclude. It's just so much fun.
No, firing on all cylinders.
I've never heard of this.
Oh, yes. Can we have John plug his clinic?
Yeah. John, you want to plug in your clinic one more time?
So if you enjoyed listening to my yapping, you're cordially invited to join us February 13th. That is Thursday of TMEA at 11:30. We're in the Hemisphere Ballroom 1 and 2. We are right next door to Dr. Tim's party. So shout out. There will not be door prizes, but you'll see a really awesome 3A high school band and 4 band directors that have caffeine addictions and crippling anxiety. I mean, really great ideas on how we make our band program successful. So would appreciate people coming out and checking that out. It's not, my whole thing with that is like not trying to reinvent the wheel with that, but we're just saying, hey, hopefully if you come from that and you leave bored, then that probably means you're doing a lot of really good things already, but maybe we can give you a couple of ideas of what we do that make it work and you can take home with you. So, but anyway, February 13th. Day before Valentine's Day. Bring your Valentines. And again, we don't have door prizes, but it'll be great.
We'll be there.
That was a great plug. I think we got 5 more people that are going to show up.
Just cut it out and make a promotional trailer.
Yeah, just this is the podcast. John not being able to promote himself. Yeah.
Alexa, do you have anything else?
I don't think so.
All right.
Thanks for listening.
Instead of that's a wrap, you should say that's a
That's a yap. That's a yap.
Catchphrase.
Okay. Now we got to pay John money.
Yeah.